Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie if you are new here, and something that I love to do on my channel is to DIY decor trends for way less. I think it is so much fun to get creative and try to recreate pieces that I see being sold for quite a bit of money using everyday household materials or craft materials that are really inexpensive. I'm so excited about today's two projects, so let's go ahead and get started. For this mirror DIY, I started off with 2 packs of this Sculpey white polymer clay. I softened them in my hands and rolled them both together into one big round shape. Then I used my wooden roller to roll it out and flatten it down. This step takes a bit of time, but just be patient with it and try to roll it out as evenly as possible so that you get an even thickness all the way around. At first I had planned to cut this into a standard shape like a square or a rectangle, but I actually really liked the imperfect shape that it had turned into as I was rolling it, so I decided to go with it and keep it a more abstract, unusual shape. I did take some time to smooth out the edges just using my fingers. At this point the clay was really soft, so this was easy to do. Now for my other colors of clay, which will create the faux terrazzo style. I wanted a navy blue color, so I mixed together some of this blue and a smaller amount of black clay. And I always like to start with a small amount of the more dominant color and then add more in as I go if necessary, until I'm left with the color that I want. So I'm really happy with this navy blue color, and for the rest of the pieces I'm just going to use the colors as is. So I've got a medium gray, a nice pink shade, as well as this pretty blue color. I again used my roller to flatten each of these out and I made them pretty thin. Then I started to cut small pieces in very random, unique shapes. You don't have to be perfect or particular at all with these, you just want them to look like irregular shapes. I like to do a mix of sizes here, and I just estimated how many I would need because I can always cut more if I need to. Now it's time to add my shapes to the white base, so I added them one by one and tried to space them out so that there was an even mix of each color throughout the base and not too many of one particular color in a certain area. Once I was happy with the placement, I used my roller to roll over the shapes and press them lightly into the white clay. This will give you a nice, even, smooth finish. And I was generally happy with this, but I decided that I wanted to add some much smaller pieces, so I cut a few extra of each color and placed them randomly. I'm really glad I went with this extra step because I think it made a big difference in the overall look. I rolled those pieces in with the rest, and now it's time to make the opening for the mirror. I'm using this small craft mirror, so I just placed it over the area that I wanted it to sit. Again, I'm not being too particular about this because I want to continue with the more irregular look of it. And I pushed the mirror into the clay to create an indentation. Then I removed the mirror, and now I've got a slice in the clay where I will add my mirror after the clay is done baking. I baked this according to the package instructions, which was 275 degrees Fahrenheit for about 20 to 25 minutes. This next step is optional, but I added a clear coat of waterproof Mod Podge just to give it a little more protection and a bit of a shine. This Mod Podge goes on white but will dry clear. Lastly, I put a small amount of E6000 glue in the indentation, and I actually used my knife to apply it. Then I repositioned the mirror and pressed it down into the crevice that I created. Now it's all ready to sit on a vanity or desk, and you can use the front part of this piece to display jewelry or other knickknacks. There are so many options, but I think that this is such a cute and unique piece that you might see at Anthropologie or Urban Outfitters. The next thing that I created is a modern minimal style vase with a really interesting shape, which I've been seeing everywhere lately. For this project, I'm using a foam floral ring, and the reason I chose this one is because the edge of it is flat rather than rounded. I chose a random spot to make my first cut because this first one can start anywhere on the ring. I used this knife, which got the job done, but a sharper knife would have made things go a little faster, but I finally cut through to the other side. Then I set it up temporarily on the wood knob that I'll be using as the base, just to give myself an idea of where to make my next cut. I made a small indentation, and this time around I used my X-Acto knife, which worked a bit better. So this is the knob that I'm using as the base, and I just secured it using some hot glue, which I added to the foam and then pressed it onto the base. To paint this piece, I'm using some gray acrylic paint, but to keep things interesting, I'm going to mix it with some of the sand that I found in my craft supplies. I added in a small amount of sand and mixed it up, and it created this really interesting texture which kind of reminded me of cement. I began to paint the foam, making sure to apply enough paint to fill in the little crevices of the foam, and the texture of the sand and paint gave it a really cool, almost stone-like look. The foam does absorb some of the paint, so I did a few coats, but overall I was really happy with the unique look of it. I also painted the wood knob using the same paint because I wanted to have a cohesive look. Once it had fully dried, I used a yarn needle to poke some holes in the top of the foam, big enough for me to push some fake florals down into the holes. Since most fake florals have wire inside, this step was really easy, and it's going to be so fun to switch them out depending on the season. This was such an easy project to do, and I think it's the perfect neutral and minimal piece. As always, please let me know in the comments which of these two projects is your favorite, and if you try either of them out, tag me on Instagram so that I can see. Next week, I'll be sharing my next IKEA hacks video as part of my series, Can I Hack It?, where I challenge myself to IKEA hack decor from popular stores. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel and have notifications turned on so you don't miss it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.